Hello students and welcome back to my channel. Let's learn together. Now it's quite some time for me that I had uploaded my last video. Uh, well, I'm back again and I hope that all of you have been keeping yourself good and you have been taking good care of yourself, and I also feel that all of you would be really feeling enthusiastic about lives and about your studies. Well, the chapter that I'm going to discuss today is Should Wizard Hate Mummy? And as usual, I'm keeping this particular textbook, the NCRT textbook, with me as the source of reference. And I will just try to rather discuss about the important issues that come up on in this particular story written by John Updike. Now, I'm just hoping, being class 12 student, you can definitely read the chapter on your own. You do not need somebody else's help to take you through the chapter. And this is something that, especially in these times when the real schools are not going on, at this time you should read the chapter on your own. So I would just recommend you to first have read the chapter and then watch this particular video. So if you have not really read the chapter, please pause the video, go back to your textbook, read it, and then you know watch this particular video. However, I'll just try to first of all give you a very briefly, I'll just tell you the story, but that does not compensate your reading of the chapter. You need to definitely learn the chapter or read the chapter between the lines. And then in the second part of this particular video, in the same video, I'll just try to highlight the important concerns of the story. But let me just very quickly begin about what could be the concerns of the chapter. Now, it is quite simple. It is quite simple at the surface level if you look at it, because when you start reading the chapter, there is a small two-line introduction that has been given to you, and it hints out at the important concerns, what could be the important concern of the chapter, and it tells you about how it is that it is basically the worldviews of the adult is different from that of a child, and it is essentially about a difference in the perspective of a child with that of an adult. So when you read the chapter, of course you find out that there is a difference between the two characters who are majorly the father and the daughter. Father is Jack and the daughter's name is Joe. But then there are indirect characters who keep appearing into the story, and these characters are not active characters. They are not they do not play a very significant role, but indirectly they play an important role in defining the overall theme of the story, first of all, and also the mindset of the characters, both the characters Jack and Joe. So let me very quickly discuss with you the story first, and then we will get back to the concerns of the or the thematic aspects of the chapter. So in this particular story, you find that there are the two main characters, the father Jack and the daughter Joe, and it is a kind of custom that the before going to the sleep at night, the father would tell the story to Joe, and this story would generally have a same storyline. There would be a character called Roger. He's a small creature, and he would sometimes be Roger Fish, sometimes be Roger Squirrel, sometimes be Roger something else. And generally, the Roger has some problem, and to get this problem solved, he moves to a owl, and the owl will then redirect him towards a wizard, and then wizard will ask for a prize to solve the problem. And once uh, the price is disclosed to Roger, then Roger will feel that he does not have that money to give to the wizard, and then wizard will give him the solution of finding out that money, of getting that money, and then he gives him a solution, and then after giving a solution, Roger's problem will generally be solved and he will get happy and he will go back to his home. And then there is this train which gets his father back from Boston, and both the father daughter and the father Roger and the mother will have a happy time together, right? So on one of these days, uh, Jack was still struggling to put Joe to sleep, and Joe was adamant because she has to listen to a story first, and only then she is ready to go to sleep. So Jack now starts telling her a story. Now this time the story has the major character as Roger Skunk. Now Roger Skunk is a small creature who smells very bad. so bad that there are other children who are not ready to play with him. Therefore, what happens is that he now wants to go to an owl and try to find out the solution of this particular problem. So when you read the chapter, you realize that how is it that, while narrating these particular incidents, Joe starts behaving, and Joe starts sub- subconsciously, she starts relating herself to Roger Skunk. Okay, so that's why you need to read the chapter, I say. And at the same time, while narrating the whole story, it's also about how Jack also keeps on reflecting and keeps on thinking about the minor thoughts that keeps occurring into his mind when he, for example, talks about how Roger skunk because he smelled very bad, he was not accepted by his friend. So this feeling of rejection had actually, it's kind of a it is a kind of a reflection upon what he had also been through when he was a child. Probably at some point in his own life, especially in the childhood period, he had faced some kind of rejection while maybe with his friends. This is not something which is clear in the story, we do not know, but we can only speculate a possibility of him, facing some kind of rejection. Anyway, moving on in the story, we find that Roger skunk, then he goes to a owl, and then owl then turns him to a wizard. So then he goes to a wizard, and the wizard says that, okay, you have to just give me 7 pennies, and then I'll hit you with my stick, and then you will smell like roses. So Roger skunk gets very happy, but he realized that he has only 4 pennies. Now three more needs to be acquired from somewhere. So then, in the same breath, the wizard gives him a solution that he should go around a well. There is a magic well. He needs to, turn around 3 times, and then he would, if he look into the magic well, 3 pennies would be there. So Roger Skunk does the same thing. He goes near the magic well. He turns around 3 times, and then he, looks into the magic well. 3 pennies are there. Picks those pennies up. No, he's able to give him the 7 pennies, and then wizard hit him with his stick, with his magic wand actually, on his head. And then Roger Skunk starts smelling like roses. Now he's very happy. He goes back happily towards his friends, and then he's very well received by his friends, and everybody's so happy that he plays with them. And then later on, there is a train that comes and from Boston, and that train brings his daddy back from his work to home. This family, they sit together, they have their dinner, and there are beautiful things in the very delicious things in the dinner. And when he was sleeping, he was about to go to the sleep, his mother realizes that actually he was not smelling as he generally used to. So he asked him the reason, that why aren't you smelling like regular Roger skunk? Why are you, smelling like something else, especially like roses? And he says that he had been to a wizard, and now he likes actually, being smelling like roses because he has been accepted by everyone. Then the mother says that no, you should go back to the wizard and you should start smelling like before, because this is not the real you, and you need to get back to your original state of when you smelled like Roger skunk and not like roses. So she forcibly takes him back towards the wizard with the umbrella on in her hand, and then she hit the wizard with that umbrella, and then she gives him the instruction of changing Roger back to how she used to smell, how Roger skunk used to smell. At this time, you see that there is this disturbance by Joe, and Joe is not just happy with this ending, and she says that, Daddy, tomorrow you must tell me a story where actually wizard hit the mummy and Roger skunk continues to smell like roses. Now Jack is not really happy with this particular ending. Now he says that no, it's my story and it's not going to have a different ending. This is what the ending is. Wizard will not hit the mummy and Roger Skunk will smell as before, right? So there is this a kind of conflict that gets that gets uh, arisen between the father and the daughter, and daughter wants a different ending of the story with mummy being hit by the wizard, and Jack does not agree to this particular story. So this is just the story of the chapter, the plot of the chapter. Now when he moves down, he finds that he has a pregnant wife, Claire, who is of course Joe's mother, and she's 6 months pregnant, and they're expecting their third baby, because apart from Joe, who is approximately 4 year old, there is another baby boy that the couple have, Jack and Claire, who is 2 years old, and now they're expecting their third child. And despite being 6 months pregnant, she was doing something, and she was, like, probably the house condition is not good, some renovation kind of work is going on, some work is going on where Claire is keeping herself busy, and Jack is not at all happy with, at one hand, Joe not being satisfied with the story, and another one time, on the other hand, Claire, who is just involving herself into a difficult sort of a physical work which she shouldn't be doing at this time of a physical difficulty as she's going through her pregnancy. Right. So this is what the storyline or the plot of the particular chapter is. Now I need you to think about these particular issues. There are few things that are, when you read the chapter, which have been indirectly, not indirectly, actually they are inserted into the story to give you a glimpse of the psychological setup of Jack and Joe. Let us first discuss with Jack's psychological setup. So, as I told you in the beginning, that when he was telling him her story, telling Joe the story, at that time in the first place, when he started talking about Roger's skunk smelling bad, at that time, uh, there was this feeling of rejection that appeared into his mind. And if you very clearly go, want to just notice these lines, then go to page number 49. Go to page number 49. This is towards the end of the chapter. This is the the last most big paragraph towards the last of the page, and I would just quote the lines from here. You can just go through them, you can underline these lines, and then you can find out this particular instance where he remembers some kind of rejection having gone through in his own childhood days. And that is, whenever he would go out to play, Jack continued with chest, remembering certain humiliations of his own childhood. Right? So certain humiliations, we're not told what kind of humiliation and what kind of events have actually he has been through, but then we know that there has been certain issues with him which are still lingering in his mind. So there is, he find, Roger Skunk, or he makes Roger Skunk go through the same situation. So that is one point where you find that, Jack's past is intersecting with this his present. That's one thing. Then there is another thing that I would like you to notice is, go to page number 52. If you go to page number 52, then the very first paragraph, where it is the point where, now they have gone, Roger Skunk has gone to the wizard, and wizard is telling a magical spell which sounds like something like abracadabra, hocus poo, Roger Skunk, how do you do? Roses, bosses, pull an ear, Roger Skunk, you never fear. Bingo. So this is the magical spell that wizards say, and after saying this, he's able to turn Roger Skunk smelling into the roses, smelling as roses. So go to the next page, which is page number 52, and look at the first, very first paragraph. And the first paragraph itself, look at how he's, comparing at this time Joe's expressions with that of her wife's. And he says that, there is this, it's been written here, it's been narrated here in these words, and I quote from the textbook. He paused as a rapt expression widened out from his daughter's nostrils, forcing her eyebrows up and her lower lip down in a wide, noiseless grin, an expression in which Jack was startled to recognize his wife feigning pleasure at cocktail parties. Right? So you can find out once again a kind of emotional blockage is there when he realizes that Joe was exactly giving the same kind of expressions which his wife gives at the cocktail parties. So you can now kind of think about what is it. Probably the marriage is not really very happy marriage, and probably there are some kind of problems or conflicts, or maybe some kind of, even if not conflicts, maybe some kind of discomforts, some kind of difficulties that he's been going through in his marriage, maybe. Then there is another instance that I want you to notice down, and that is, just move towards the last, towards the end of the story, and this is page number 54. And somewhere in the middle of the page, if you just notice it, somewhere in the middle of the page it says, it was not, he said with rare emphasis, and believed from her expression that she realized he was defending his own mother to her, or something else odd, right? Now this is one particular point where, when Joe was actually forcing Jack to retell a story with a different ending, where he says that Mummy should be hit by the wizard and Roger Skunk should not smell as before, he should continue to smell as roses, right? So this is one again instance where he starts thinking about his mother. So when he was actually defending Roger Skunk's mother, he was not just defending that particular character in the story, he's actually defending his own mother also in reality. So he wants Joe to respect mother. He wants Joe to understand what is good and what is not. And at the same time, he wants Joe to realize the importance of having your own identity, or returning to your own identity. Unlike Roger Skunk, he does not want Joe to become, like Roger Skunk, who was uncomfortable with his identity and then changes it. So he is trying to give indirectly a lesson to Joe that how actually one should just retain their own identity and should not let, or should not allow themselves to be to be redefined according to the standards of others. But Joe, being a little child with a very limited intelligence, or a very limited exposure to the outside world, she is just not able to understand it. According to her, now this is where you must understand the difference in the perspective. The difference in the perspective, if you look at it from the child's point of view, realize that Joe is yet another girl who, like any girl of her own age, wants to fit into the image of a nice girl, which is generally propagated at families and even in the societies. That how should a good girl, or a very nice girl and a good boy image that we generally propagate. And generally these children are those who are obedient to adults, and who get very easily accepted by the friends, and who are uh, who have lots of friends. So, and they have a very happy social life. So but then Joe also wants Roger Skunk to be, because she has started seeing her own reflection in Roger Skunk. This you must understand. She is relating herself to Roger Skunk now. Roger Skunk, who was going through a problem of smelling bad, a problem of not being accepted by his friends, a problem of not being able to fit in the social circle, the large social circle. So at this time, these are actually the real concerns of children. So you must, if you look at their world from their perspective, if you probably remember your own childhood at the time when you were 5-year old, 10-year old, you would remember how important it was for you to fit into the larger social circles. And if you are not getting along with your friends, then you would just feel left out, and that was not a good feeling, because that was rejection. And rejection was not very well, it was not very well taken the, by you as a child, or by any child of that age for that matter, isn't it? So you look at the whole structure of the society, then this is how human beings, or in fact little children, are basically brought up. So how we actually, the adults, put in this whole idea of nice girl and a good boy into children, and we indirectly tell them how important for them to affiliate to that particular image. However, after reaching a certain age, in the teen age, say 15, 16, children start remolding these concepts, and they become very rebellious when they don't stick to these particular ideas. But then right now we're talking about childhood, and we're talking about those children who are 4 to maybe 12-year old, and how it is very important for them to be accepted by everybody, except especially by the children of their own age, right? So this is how Joe's mind right now is working. So she's relating herself to Roger Skunk, and she feels that what if she also is not, you know, accepted by her friends? So therefore, there must be a solution to it, and therefore she feels that Wizard had done a very nice thing to Roger Skunk by making him smell like roses. And then she gets so happy to listen that Roger Skunk started smelling like roses, and she actually in this chapter feels that that was the point when the story ended, right? She was very happy with the ending. But then a new twist was being added by Jack, where he says his story has not ended because now mother had a problem, and then he starts smelling like roses. Sorry, he starts smelling as before, not like roses. So what I'm trying to get at is that from Joe's point of view, little children should have whatever the qualities that are which are required by the adult, and they are not the mind is not critically equipped to understand or to move beyond the images that have been set out for them. And that is exactly what Joe is doing. Joe feels that Roger Skunk has should actually smell like roses because he has a right to play with all of his friends, and for her it is so important that Roger's cum should get accepted by his friend or at his larger social circle. This is the point of view of Joe. And therefore when she feels that mother had actually made him smell like before, or how he smelled like roses before than that, at that time he realizes that mother has done a wrong thing. So what does she do? She wants now the wizard to hit mummy, and mummy should be punished for this. So she is very unforgiving in this, and she's just not ready to accept father's version of the story, and she's very unforgivingly she says that mummy should be hit, and you must tell me a story tomorrow where there is a different ending, because this has disturbed her. This has disturbed her very badly and very deeply, and she's just not ready to accept it. And I've told you the obvious reasons of it. Now, look at the same story from Jack's point of view. Jack is an adult. You must first of all try to understand that Jack is an adult. And being an adult, he's a married man with two already children who are there with him. And he's bringing them up. Along with that, third baby is on its way, and he will very soon become a father to a third baby. Now, at the same time, we must understand that adults have certain complexities in their psychological setup. This is something that you must understand. It is not that adults are always sorted out. Most of the time they are not. They have their own set of difficulties, complexes, and emotional blockages. So as I've told you, when Jack was telling the story, and when he constructed the story, and when he made Roger Skunk a misfit into the society, there was this certain level of rejection that he had faced in his own childhood. As I just in the earlier part of the video I told you, I just quoted it from the chapter also. So it was this problem which made him feel that probably he has had, and we know a glimpse of it, that he has had his own shares of struggles, and he has struggled, and probably he is able to overcome it. Now he wants to convey the same lesson to his daughter by saying that there are difficulties in life, and becoming a pleasing person always is not a solution. So one must fight these difficulties, struggle, and then overcome it in order to become a better person or a better personality. But this is not understandable to Joe because of her limited intelligence. She's just a child of 4 year old, right? However, there is this insistence in his character, in Jack's character, because he wants to throw out this moral issue to his daughter. That's one thing. Next, he has also problem about how uh, you know Joe wants mother to be punished. Now mothers are revered, isn't it? Mothers are respectables to us. So but then at this time Joe is not able to understand it. However, he wants Joe to understand the importance of mother, and this also has got some reflection from his past. This is also you should understand that something something in past has happened, or there is something which is related to his mother, and and he wants Joe to understand the importance of mothers, but Joe is just not ready to understand. The third problem he encounters is probably the messiness in his marriage. Now marriages are not uh, always sweet relationships. Marriages, like any other relationship, have their own set of complexities, have their own set of problems, have their own set of sweetness, have their own set of uh, discomforts and incentives. So there are both the sides, and probably at this time he has been somehow feeling stuck into the marriage, and we once again do not know what exact reasons are, but then he feels that Joe has been giving the same expression which his wife has been giving, of feigning the pleasure in the cocktail parties, about this tells you about some kind of discordancy between him and his wife, maybe because wife has been feigning the pleasure, which means wife is not actually happy, but she's just faking a pleasure at a cocktail party. Now this tells you about how maybe the wife is a fake character, or at least Jack finds his own wife little fake at sometimes, not really genuine person. uh, or maybe Jack feels that there is this lack of genuinity in his wife. These are all speculations, you must understand, since there are no clear indications. So we are kind of free to speculate about what could go wrong. But certainly there are certain wrong things which are going on in his life, and he's not very sorted about these issues, and these issues have definitely created some kind of emotional blockages in him. And then in the last stanza, sorry, in the last paragraph of the story, you find that when he's just coming down and Joe was still crying for a story with a different ending. At that time, Jack really has to scold Joe to keep quiet, because otherwise he's not never going to tell her a different story. So when he comes down, he finds everything is just lying there in a very haphazard way. All the things are just lying there, and Claire, who is 6 months pregnant, his wife, who is 6 months pregnant, is just dealing with all those things. And he finds himself in a very ugly middle position. And he finds himself in an ugly middle position, which simply means that he is not able to sort of, this kind of psychological problems which are moving inside his mind. Everything is just disconnected and nothing is sorted out, and he does not know what to do, because he's feeling completely uh, out of control and out of the way, and he does not know how to make, first of all, Joe understand that a certain the ending that he had given was a better ending to the story. At the same time, he does not know what to do with Claire, because Claire was also been stuck up in so much of work, and then he knows that Claire should not do this work, but then how to sort out these problems. So these are the problems which all of you, to a certain extent, would have gone through when we do not know how to sort things out. And there is this kind of complexities which suddenly get turns into complications into our minds, and no clear visible way is apparently present over there. But uh, at that time you feel stuck in a very bad situation, and you do not know what to do. So it's like Jack was also stuck in a situation where neither he could help out Joe, I'm sorry, his daughter Joe, with the right kind of ending of the story, nor was he able to handle Claire. And this could be a reflection of the conflicts between his troubled past as a child, and troubled present as a family man, or as a husband, or as a father in a story, in the marriage. So a troubled childhood, maybe some kind of problems with his mother also, like not in a very conflicting way, but then uh, the way, probably something wrong has happened with the mother also, and there also he has not been probably able to handle the situation well. And at the same time, the marriage also is probably not going on very smooth. So just at the same moment, he finds that he has no control in his life, and he also feels that he is not able to sort out things in a well defined manner, and he feels that he is helpless, probably, and he understands that it is difficult for him to take charge of things, and therefore he finds himself in ugly middle position. So this is what I had to talk to you about, this plot and the characters. You must go through this, because this chapter, if you look at it from psychological point of view, you find that how father and daughter, they came directly into opposing conditions, or in opposing positions to each other, and they are completely in conflict with each other. From that point of view, if you look at the chapter is really complex, but very interesting also. Read the chapter once again. I will very soon upload one more video on the same topic, where I'll discuss important NCRT questions along with another important issues. Meanwhile, I would just request you to just note down your difficulties, just jot them down, and if required, pose your questions also, because if you have any problems, I'll definitely include them in the next video, which I'll very soon upload, because I feel there is a lot that needs to be said on this particular topic, on this chapter. So in the next video, I'll upload the question answers of NCRT, which are there approximately 6 questions in front of me. Apart from that, if there are more questions from you, you can ask them to me, or if I find out another question, or if I feel any other issue apart from all these questions which have been covered, then I'll definitely include them in the next video. Till then, please read the chapter once again. I would request, even if you have read it once, please read it once again and see if you are able to come up with you can actually very clearly define the conflict between the father and the daughter. And thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this will be helpful for you, and if you have any doubts, please do put them in the comment section. And if you have any suggestions for me to improve the content on the video, you can also give your constructive suggestions to me. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day ahead.